What if you were somebody who, like, did you believe you couldn't have more than one best friend?
I don't know. I didn't think a lot about it.
Because at that point, like, what, is God, like, best friends with millions and millions of people?
Oh, I see. So you were like thinking it that way.
Yeah,
like he can't be all of our best friends. He's got to have one favorite.
He's only got he's got like one of us more. And even as a kid, I was fine with being like top 100. You know, I didn't want to be top one.
That's so. I actually never thought about that as a kid. Like if God liked other people more than me.
God liked other people.
I know He loves us all, but does He like me more than this guy?
Oh man.
Dearly beloved, welcome to the Unblessed Podcast, where we inquire and exposit the mysteries of that ancient text, that good book itself, the Holy Bible. We are not theologians nor historians. We are but armchair philosophers who spent years in seminary or on a church staff and have since departed to make our own way. We invite you now to read, think, and laugh with us as we dive deep into the denominational doctrines of the divine in the Unblessed Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Unblessed Podcast. My name is Evan.
And I'm Scott.
And we are two ex-Chick-Fil-A stans. That's right. It's Pride Month, and we're coming hard at Chick-Fil-A.
It's been all over the news, and we got to
Yeah,
have our take, of course.
exactly.
So.
We're gay for 1 month.
So no Chick-fil-A anymore, though.
No Chick-Fil-A for us. We're gay right now. Scott, did you, like, how often did you eat Chick-fil-A as a kid?
Not that much. It was hardly ever. It wasn't until, I don't even remember when it started coming around into popularity, but my church would order it for certain things. Like we'd have, I don't know, some like event on like a Wednesday, and they would bring in, 20 or something, 30 sandwiches. So that was most of the time. If I had Chick-fil-A, it was at something like that, where it was just a big bag of them, and I'd just reach in there and grab a sandwich. A couple times in high school I remember going, but it was not that often. Were you a regular there?
I think in high school it became more of a regular thing. Like, I think our church ordered from Crystal more than they did Chick-fil-A, just because Crystal has the sliders.
Crystal? Is that is that a Southern thing?
White Castle has the sliders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Crystal's the same thing. Well, Chick-fil-A has been in the news recently because they promoted / hired / whatever. It got out that they have a vice president of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah. And I just want to point out that in our, what was it, Evan? Maybe 12 seconds of research on this topic, we found that they hired this guy on, like, for DEI in 2020.
Yeah.
And then he got promoted to like a VP level, I think about a year ago.
Yeah.
But they've had a DEI like in motion for almost 3 years now. So I don't know why we're just getting up in arms, apparently, as a Christian nation once again.
Chick-fil-A is the new Starbucks. Just
honestly, I'm kind of here for it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not the biggest Chick-fil-A fan for how they have been politically in the past. I'm glad they're doing a DEI thing, but I know in the past they were very hesitant on hiring people of certain backgrounds, and I felt like they were a little pushy on the, like, we're closed on Sundays, and we're holier than that. It was like, just make sandwiches.
I remember there was going to be, and I don't know if there is, but I don't know if it ever came to fruition, but in the Atlanta Falcons Stadium, there was going to be a construction of a Chick-fil-A in there. And I was like, why? They're like, well, so you could have Chick-fil-A on during
Which
a
game?
football game. Yeah, and I was like, like 80% of them are played on Sundays.
So just Monday Night Football. I don't get it. I don't get the uproar. We were trying to do some research beforehand just so we could be, the most informed hosts as possible, as we usually are.
Yeah, and that's what we always promise you is informed dialogue on subjects that we research.
Definitely not 5 minutes before turning the mics on.
Oh my gosh.
All this feels silly. I think that's the best way I can describe this is it's 3 years too late.
Yeah.
I think some Christian influencer type conservative people got on Twitter in the last couple weeks and said, like, I think someone tweeted, like, Chick-Fil-A's gone woke, which to me is hilarious. But suddenly everyone's up in arms about Chick-Fil-A, and the Christians are losing their minds because that's their last safe haven of where to find a Christian chicken sandwich. Where else do you go? What's another Christian restaurant, though? Where do the Christians flock now?
I can't think of one. I mean, I know Interstate Batteries is run by a Christian. That may be your last bastion of hope.
I think they have some hot dogs at Interstate Batteries you can get.
But that's the whole stupid thing is that it's fucking food.
I know. It's just a chicken sandwich.
It's just a chicken sandwich at the end of the day. Like, Chick-fil-A was involved in the chicken sandwich wars with Popeyes and Taco Bell and Burger King and McDonald's and everybody. Like, that was a whole thing to try and distract us from the fact that the pandemic was going on. I understand wanting to buy something that is associated with your values.
Sure.
From the aspect of, like, I don't want to necessarily, buy from anybody who exploits their employees or, they're taking this, that, or the other from certain things. But at the same time,
it's a chicken sandwich.
It is a chicken sandwich.
You know me, I'm a huge McDonald's fan, so
yeah.
Nothing can replace the McChicken for me. I'm not saying it's the best sandwich out there either. I'm not stupid. It's a McChicken. It's $1. I know exactly what I'm getting, but I get the exact same thing every time, and they perfected it. So I know what I'm getting.
I had a chicken biscuit yesterday for like the first time, and I was like, "This is, what? This hits the spot."
It's okay.
Yeah, this is.
There's not many fast food items where I'm like, this is life changing. It's fast food. It's gonna be what it is 1,000 times over.
And like, who's to say the Christian run portion of Chick-fil-A is just not full of dicks and assholes? Like, why is it that just being Christian is good enough for all of this? Russell Wilson's a Christian. He's a shitty football player right now.
That's a very good point.
Tim Tebow was a Christian, and he had
how many yards?
Yeah, I know. I'm not even going to say one good year. He had like 16 good fourth quarters.
They still think he'd come back and win a Super Bowl. People think Tim Tebow could pray his way to a ring.
Absolutely.
You're right. That's an interesting topic of like the value of being Christian is first compared to whatever product or service that's coming after.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it a little icky, and I'm about to get on my soapbox, but I remember when I was
soapbox it, honey.
I'm going to soapbox it. But I remember having a conversation a long time ago about Christian art, Christian music, and someone said to me, it was like a mentor of mine who's a Christian. They said, anytime someone puts the word Christian in front of something, they're just trying to market it to you.
Right.
It doesn't. Christians should not care about if it's being marketed as Christian to you. Just do it to the best of your ability, and if you happen to be a Christian, great. And that's how I always saw music. So I always got sick to my stomach. People were like, well, they're a Christian rock band. I'm like, why did you lead with that? If you're a good rock band, just say we're a rock band, or it's like, or if you have a tire shop, you don't have to say, well, we're a Christian tire shop. Just say you're a damn good tire shop, and hopefully the rest will show for its value. But it feels slimy to me when people just only market it as like, well, we're a Christian, clothing company. It's like, okay, like, what does that mean?
Two things. One, do you think in the old biblical times that people cared where they got their necessities from?
Probably not. At least they probably wouldn't throw as much of a tantrum.
Yeah.
as today.
You know, I can't believe the guy I get my donkey feed from
worships Baal.
Yeah, worships Baal. But the other thing is kind of flip it to a current scenario. So, you know, all these Christians, they focus on these mission trips and all these like third world countries. Do you think people in those third world countries give a rat's ass about whether or not the owner of Starbucks or the owner of Starbucks is a Christian or not, or the owner of Chick-Fil-A is a Christian or not? And the answer is no. Like when things become a necessity, they become a necessity.
Yeah, exactly. If my house is on fire, I'm not going to ask the firefighters if they're Christians first.
I know. I'm going to want them to put out the damn fire.
Yeah, I just hope they're a good firefighter through and through. That's it. So to me, it feels disingenuous when things, and I won't really accuse Chick-fil-A of doing this. I don't think they necessarily market it as like we're a Christian company.
Yeah, they just have found out that they were.
Yeah, it's like people discovered, they're closed on Sundays, and suddenly it's like, I think Christ goes here every day for lunch. Like, so I don't know. It just feels slimy when, maybe not Chick-fil-A, but anytime there's just like Christian marketing where it's like Christian this, Christian that. I don't understand, because you don't see that on the other side necessarily. I take that back. There could be times where you see that from other value systems, but you usually see it with Christians.
Yeah. And this is where I think Christians get a little bit confused, is because they're like, oh, people think we're trying to shove it down their throats, and we're not. I don't think it's so much the evangelistic portion when it comes to that. I think it's the marketing portion where it's just like, if you're good, you're good. Like, but there have been so much bad products associated with something being Christian. This is only a recent thing as far as marketing goes, because
oh, for sure. Yeah, this was not hundreds of years ago. You wouldn't see like a Christian shoe salesman. It was just who people were.
The invention of Welch's was a Christian who wanted an alternative to communion wine. Like the inventor of Kellogg's.
Right.
Was a 7-day Adventist and wanted to have cereal that didn't have sugar in it.
I would love to see Christian cornflakes nowadays.
Yeah. The wheat flakes. I don't know.
Christ flakes.
Born again flakes.
There we go. That stuck. But yeah, this whole story with the DEI hire for Chick-fil-A is extremely convoluted and 3 years late. And
I love it.
I don't get it, but you know what? People are still going to eat. At the end of the day, I know people are going to come right back to Chick-fil-A, give it a couple weeks, and people are going to figure out this whole thing.
Yeah. And I think that's the second problem with this, is that this is being reported as news. Yeah. It is 3 years old.
It's olds.
Yeah. Been here for a while. What do you... That's where it's my theory of like somebody got hired at Chick-fil-A, but then they found out that there was a DEI policy, and they were like, "Hold on, not in my good Christian,
not in my
America.
Church,
yeah, not in my good Christian Chick-fil-A."
This all stemmed from them hiring a DEI like vice president.
Yeah,
and there was no statement that was saying like anything different about their policies or how they accept people. It was just a matter of like, hey, we're trying to include more people, make sure that we have an equitable experience for anyone that wants to work at Chick-fil-A. And I look at that and go, that all sounds great. What problem is there? Like, oh, you want to hire gay people. That's why. And I think people are skirting around the issues. They're like, well, they're just going, woke or whatever. And they're just bowing down to the woke mob and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that's the case. I think Chick-fil-A is just following good business practices because they want to stay alive. And they realize, oh, gee, if we treat employees better and hire more people, we'll have a better time. But apparently it's woke and anti-Christian to be inclusive. So I don't get it.
Those two things are absolutely synonymous, woke and loving Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
Who was arguably the most woke person at the time.
Impossible.
I'm saying it.
Well, speaking of
woke.
Speaking of woke.
Speaking of chicken sandwiches.
There we go. Speaking of chicken sandwiches, we're going to talk about one of the most famous chicken sandwiches in the whole Bible, Gideon.
Yeah, that's exactly what people think of when they think of Gideon, is chicken sandwiches. So we're going to be in the book of Judges. At this time, Israel is kind of going through these weird people in charge, I think is the best.
That's a great synopsis.
Yeah, like not kings.
It's just people in charge.
Yeah, it's just kind of generals who like take charge every now and then and are just like, all right, we're conquered. Let's try and not be conquered anymore. And then they are kind of Lord Protector over.
Yeah, they all have like random superpowers kind of too. Like I've been catching glimpses of Holly's been rewatching Smallville, and every few episodes there's like just a random. They don't have enough villains in the DC universe to fill with Superman, so they will make up these episodes called Meteor Freaks, and it's just people that were like near the meteor shower that got these weird Kryptonian powers, and
so kind of like Static Shock.
Yes, Superman's a ripoff of Static Shock.
You hear that, Holly?
That's how I think about all the judges, is that they are all just meteor freaks. Like they're all in the same room and got hit by a piece of Krypton. Now they're all just like, this one's super strong. This one can like pile drive you. This one can heal you. Like this, they're all random superpower people.
Yep.
But they're not kings. That's the most important part.
Yeah, because exactly. They're not kings. They just rule unquestionably.
That's right.
Yep. So starting in, chapter 6, verse 36, then Gideon said to God, if you will deliver Israel by my hand, as you said, I will put a fleece of wool here on the threshing floor. If dew is on the fleece and all the ground is dry, I will know that you will deliver Israel by my strength, as you said. And that is what happened. When he got up early in the morning, he squeezed the fleece and wrung dew out of it, filling a bowl of water. First off, I love in the New Testament there's a verse that's like, don't test God.
Yeah.
And in the Old Testament, it's just like, I'm going to test God.
They're like, test God to every possible whim.
Just say like, hey, God, if I walk outside today and it's raining, I'm going to know you're doing your promise on me. But if I walk outside and it's not, then I'm going to be sad.
Aren't these strange tests too? They're strange. I always wonder if there's a story behind them because they're so specific. Like
there has to be some kind of symbolic story about the fleece and the dew. Does your ESV Study Bible say anything about this?
Let's take a look at the ESV Study Bible notes. Verse 36. Before the actual military engagement, oh boy, Gideon again displays his reluctance to be a leader, for he asks for a confirmation from God. On the one hand, Gideon's fears are understandable. The task he is preparing to do is difficult and dangerous. On the other hand, the angel's appearance and they don't really say anything. They just they're just like, yeah, he wanted confirmation, and yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. Why this isn't weird?
Why this isn't weird at all? Yeah, I don't think I see.
God.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, verse 9. Let me test, and it says, Gideon's desire to test God was in direct violation of the Mosaic law, which prohibited humans from testing God. Deuteronomy 6:16. Gideon himself was aware that he was doing something unwise, if not even sinful, since he asked God not to be angry with him. Judges 6:39. Gideon already knew God's will. Already knew God's will, calling him to service on behalf of God's people. So Gideon's requests reveal his weak faith. Despite this lack of faith, God accommodated his requests. So it's like, don't test God, but if you do test God, only because if you have weak faith and God needs to really show you to make sure you have strong faith.
So,
which isn't that the whole point of testing?
Yeah.
It's like, like if I'm going to jump in a pool and I don't have faith that it's like a nice warm pool, I'm going to dip my toe in there. But instead they're just like, just jump in. I don't know.
Just jump in. Unless you have weak faith.
Unless you have some doubts, then it's okay to dip your toe in. And that's fine. Otherwise, jump in.
Gideon then said to God, "Don't be angry with me. Let me speak one more time. Please allow me to make one more test with the fleece. Let it remain dry and the dew be all over the ground." That night God did as Gideon requested, only the fleece was dry and dew was all over the ground.
Wow. God works in mysterious ways.
He works in the mysterious ways of doing.
So he's hanging a jacket, a fleece. I'm imagining a really nice jacket. It's just like one of those like bomber jackets, like Tom Cruise. Real.
Oh, okay, I was imagining the exact opposite, just like a sheet of fleece.
I'm imagining like a wool lined jacket with some, studs on it. And so he's hanging that up, soaking wet.
It's got daddy and rhinestones on the back of it.
Judge me. Only God can judge me.
Only God can judge me.
I imagine there's some way people were trying to test God's presence, I guess, by just these random little science experiments of like, okay, did you ever do that as a kid? Did you ever test God though? I have to wonder. Sidetrack.
I think so every now and then.
Like a little like, hey, if this happens, I'll really.
I was like, if I hit this goal, I'll believe in you. And I hit it off I miss entirely. I'm like, that's okay. I'm too scared not to.
I was afraid to test God at times, like the Bible would say.
Oh, yeah, I was afraid he'd get mad at me, and that's why I would be like, oh, that's okay. Because God is like Santa's dad when you're a kid.
I actually thought about that's like,
right.
Because I used to think Santa was real, and I would try to justify, well, how can Santa and God be the same universe? So I just kind of thought like, oh, Santa sort of, reports to God, I guess. Like he's like an employee of God. I didn't really think about that hard, but
yeah,
I did think about it as a kid.
Yeah, every kid does. When it's just like, okay, there's God who, when I die, does the ultimate naughty and nice list. But Santa's looking out for right now.
I want that laser tag set.
And then
now, though.
I know. And then Jesus is God's son, and the Holy Spirit could be Santa?
I was imagining like a very ornate Catholic church or something, and there's like Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and it's just like God, Jesus, Santa. I don't remember like testing God that much, but I know I did. I know like I would go like, okay, if this happens, like I'll really believe, this time, or like I'll really give my life away no matter what. And then if it didn't go in my favor, I would go, well, maybe he's calling me out for testing him. So it can never go in my favor.
I had a friend of mine who he ran junior Olympic stuff when he was a kid. Like he was a really fast track runner. And he said, when he was in like fourth grade, he was like, God, if I win this race, I'll never say another cuss word ever again. And he won the race. And so he stopped cussing, and he explained it to me. And I was like, even in like 7th or 8th grade, I was like, why would you make that promise?
Cussing's fun.
No, well, I was just like, it seems like a weird promise to make. Like, he was like, no, but God let me win the race. And I was like, can't argue with that. But then he ended up, because we were playing video games and we were in 8th grade, and he ended up at least saying that there was where he broke his promise, because he was just like, die, bitch. And like, we were playing like Call of Duty or something. And I didn't even notice. He was like, I broke my promise to God. And I was like, oh.
You saw his like soul leave his body. God's spirit was like, I'm done with this one. He cussed.
Haven't led too many people to the Lord, but I've definitely led one away. No, he was just like, he was just like, I broke my promise. And I was like, oh.
Okay.
Another game then? And he was like, yeah. So we can play.
That is pretty funny thing about just like, I just broke a promise with the eternal God creator of the universe. Do you want to play another game? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm over it.
I think about I'm all over the board today, but I thought about that so much as a kid, is like the communication and like the contract I had with God, like, and how insane that was. Like, I would think, oh, like the same person that created the world out of nothing and can do anything possible is best friends with me, and I have a direct line to them through prayer at any time. I mean, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's why I was weird as a kid, Evan.
What if you were somebody who, like, did you believe you couldn't have more than one best friend?
I don't know. I didn't think a lot about it.
Because at that point, like, what, is God like best friends with millions and millions of people?
Oh, I see. So you were like thinking it that way.
Yeah,
Like he
it's
can't be
just-
all of our best friends.
Can't
He's
be
got to
all
have
of our
one
best friends.
favorite.
He's only got he's got like one of us more. And even as a kid, I was fine with being like top 100. You know, I didn't want to be top one.
That's so. I actually never thought about that as a kid. Like if God liked other people more than me.
God liked other people.
I know he loves us all, but does he like me more than this guy?
Oh man.
It's just like, of course you love all your kids, but you got the one that like you really connect with. You know, just the one that you really can kick back and relax
I
with.
can vibe with. Yeah.
Well, I really hope I can vibe with God. Asking for favors or promises like that was, I mean, it was commonplace. I would be like, okay, God, like, do your thing. You know, it was like I don't want to say like a magic stone or something. I just always felt like he was in my back pocket. Like, okay, like God, go do your thing. Like, change this person's heart.
God.
It did. I felt like I like was able to like take God with me everywhere. So I thought like, okay, I'll just like pray and maybe this will happen. And there was times where I thought like I would get really into it. I'd be like, I would pray for something and just wait. I'd be like, okay, God, like turn that light on or something like that. And I would just like wait for years in my room.
And then you had other people. We were getting so off topic, but
That's all right.
you had other people that would claim that like God delivered these huge prayers for them, and
Yeah.
It's not that I want to discount that, but at the same time, with these folks, it was so often, and it was so specific, so many times, that it.
Interesting.
And then you start to pray for something specific, and you have, you know, ultimate faith, and you're trying your best, which, like, you know,
Yeah.
you can sit there and you can be like, well, maybe you didn't believe enough. Well, that's where grace is supposed to fill the glass,
Yes.
you know? And so I don't think that's fair to say, well, you didn't have enough faith. Well, if you're asking, that should be enough.
That always bothered me because I would see examples in the Bible of people who seemed like they would have almost no faith, like just complete. I mean, for some of these people in the Bible, they are losers. Like they are really bad at following God's commands, but God like does these insane miracles for them. So I always thought as a kid, like, okay, well, I go to like church every Sunday. I pray like every night, like, and I'll ask for stuff and it wouldn't happen. And people would tell me like to my face, like, well, you just need to have more faith. And I would be like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Like, so it made me think like something's wrong with you. So that's what would drive me more and more like into the lifestyle, whatever you want to call it. Like I just got so deep into it because I wanted to be able to have those, you know, experiences like other people said.
And
they
the
had.
stuff that you ask for as a Christian is not like money.
No,
Like it's like
wasn't selfish at all.
heal my sick relative.
Yeah. I'd pray for people. Yeah, my neighbors. I'd be like, anything. Yeah.
I'd be like, stop this war that's happening.
I always thought about too. I'd be like, why don't we all get together and pray for this thing? Like, again, we're way off topic, but I don't really care. It's clearly on our hearts today, so we got to speak from the heart. But I remember people like I remember one lady at my church growing up was very into prayer. She led like the prayer team did you have like a prayer team at your church or like a prayer ministry? So she like led that. So she was like always at church, like every morning at like 6 a.m. But she'd always have these like little stories. She's like, well, I prayed that like, you know, God would just give me a sense of peace. And then like I got this book on discount that's about peace at the bookstore. I just knew that was a God. Like it was always like little coincidences like that. And she'd be like, well, it was prayer and he answered it and he cares. But it always rubbed me the wrong way because it's like God was obsessed with these little tiny favors for people of like, I'm going to make sure you know that I'm present in your life. But then like the big serious things like, hey, like how about we pray to stop this war, keep our kids safe, or help this person out of the hospital. And they'd be like, no, that's okay. Or you don't have enough faith. That's why it didn't work.
The stories that I always loved were like the fun mom stories about prayer, where it was like, I
love these.
I was trying to get Caleb ready for school, and he spilled, everything all on top of me. And, I was late for work and this, that, or the other. And then, I was getting ready to go to work, and thank God my boss called in sick because, everything was, my whole shirt and everything was a mess. It just means, all it means is that the good Lord is looking out for me. And it was like,
Yep.
Your boss is sick.
Yeah, your boss is sick. That's all. You're making it into a God thing when really it's like, it's not. It's just like you're putting meaning into something that happened, and you're trying to, find that.
You're injecting meaning is what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
Injecting it into a situation where it wasn't inherently there. You don't have to look around the world to find a super spiritual meaning.
And I don't think I have a huge problem with that when people inject meaning, like from their religion or their beliefs of like, well, this happened, and if it gives them peace, it's just always, it just never feels like it's an even application, where it's like some things like, well, this is obviously a God thing, and then other things is like, well, that's impossible. That couldn't be from God. That's just sin, or that's somebody else not having faith. So
I'll tell you one thing that is a God thing, according to the Bible: every single president elected ever.
Technically, yes.
Technically, yes, because the rulers of principalities and princes and everything like that, they are put in place by God.
I would agree.
According to
As
the
a
Bible.
former Calvinist too, everything is preordained, so he already had it in mind.
In the words of Will Robertson, those words are in red, so they're important.
Let's kick off the next part of Gideon.
So sorry. Chapter 7. God selects Gideon's army. Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, thank you, and everyone who was with him got up early and camped beside the spring of Harod. The camp of Midian was north of them, below them the hill of Morah in the valley. The Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many people for me to hand the Midianites over to you, or else Israel might brag, I did it myself. Now announce in the presence of the people, whoever is fearful and trembling may turn back and leave Mount Gilead." So 22,000 of the people turned back, but 10,000 remained. Makes sense. Folks who were scared, who didn't want to do it, you're just like, all right, put up or shut up.
2/3 leave.
Yep. Yeah. Then the Lord said to Gideon, "There are still too many people. Take them down to the water, and I will test them there for you there."
Are you doing a Barack Obama impression?
If I say to you, this one can go with you, he can go. But if I say about anyone, this one cannot go with you, he cannot go.
The pause. God damn.
So he brought the people down to the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, "Separate everyone who laps water with his tongue like a dog. Do the same with everyone who kneels to drink." The number of those who lapped with their hands to their mouths was 300 men, and the rest, all the rest of the people knelt to drink water. The Lord said to Gideon, "I will deliver you with the 300 men who lapped and hand the Midianites over to you. But everyone else is to go home." So God was like, these guys.
Here's the thing. I would fully be on board with going to church if there was these tests of might and faith like this every week. If it was just these hidden, like, okay, the people who put cream cheese on one side of the bagel, put them on the worship team. The people who didn't use any cream cheese, kick them out. Like these weird hidden tests to see who God's going to use. He just tells these people, all right, we need to slim down this army. People who drink the water like a dog, keep them. If they kneel down.
If they got that dog in them. If they got that dog in them, you're going to keep them. You got, Gideon, you got that dog. The other one right there, he got that dog.
God is the Louisiana O-lineman coach.
They're going to line up just like this, and you're going to head up there and open up by you.
Hey, you got to get down there, them boys, with the dog in them,
You get that crawfish and put it in that little
You get a shrimp ball rolling, you get a dog, you get people with dog in them. Those people you want. When you line up face mask to face mask, you want a dog in you.
About New Orleans, this is how he uses them.
Who are these people? But I love this as God's test.
Gideon didn't want to talk to God. He just did signs. He was like, I don't fucking understand you. Tell you what I'm going to do.
Hey, I'm an alligator down there, boy. They're going to be...
All right, sounds great. I'm going to put my jacket up over here. If there's dew on it, I believe you. If there's not, I don't.
Yeah. Jacket dry, thumbs up. Jacket wet, thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Yeah, boy, I be going to get the boy, the dog in him, and you lap it up, boy, and the shrimp. Come on, rap. Huh?
Huh? Who?
I said they lap on the water like a dog, boy. You got to put it in the army. Okay. I say you got 300 boy, huh? And a dog and the 300 of them. You get a shrimp boy, you write them down, fold it around, you getting them dogs, huh?
I'm just going to go with these guys and just hope that works.
Gideon's like, sure, please just leave me alone. Oh, man. I love God as an O-lineman coach. Just whistle around his neck. Big pot belly.
His belly poking underneath his shirt a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got like a plumber's crack.
He's got a visor on with the hair sticking out the top.
Yeah.
Like the reflective shades. He's got 3 girls.
All of them talk the same.
Here you go, boy. You get down. You get in Mount Gilead. You get 22,000, boy. If you go, get on, get the gators.
And the thing happens like they take the Midianite camp with the 300 men.
Yeah, this is where 300 was. 300 was a true story, and it was based on this.
Well, no, it was inspired by.
I watched it. It was a true story. It said at the beginning. It said based on the Bible.
Oh, did it? So what were the Persians doing there, Scott?
Well, that's the next chapter. We have to get to Judges 8,
Why did they call themselves Spartans and not Israelites?
Like it's Hollywood, okay? They're kind of just loosely basing it.
Oh, okay, so loosely that A, not in the same spot at all. B, completely different people.
There's a part where like big elephants
scenarios.
are marching into the camp, and then like a million arrows take over the sun and all that jazz, right? I don't remember 300. It's been so long.
I mean, that's in the movie The 300. Yes, I don't know if that's in.
I just remember watching 300 very uncomfortably with my friends and their dads. Like it was like a couple dads, and they're like, "We're gonna have a guys' movie night," and they put on 300, and they didn't realize how much boob was in that movie.
Oh, I thought it was going to be more about like the shirtless guys.
It awakened something in all of us that day. We were all like,
every dad was like, you know what movie we should watch? Boys, you're gonna love this. Wives are out of the house. Let's watch 300.
Let's watch a bunch of shirtless, oiled up, muscly men have an orgy.
just like elbowing his son. That's a man right there. That's a man.
Oh, I could not get that movie off fast. I just remember it was so uncomfortable. I don't even now, like even where I'm at now in my life, and if I watch a movie with my parents and there's like nudity, it's so uncomfortable. Like no one knows what to do. Everyone just panics and tries to make a joke, and it doesn't land. So yeah, that movie, it's based on this verse, I think.
Okay,
loosely.
Cool. I'll leave you with 300 million locked up and hand midnight over to you. Gotta go back home. So Gideon sent all the Israelites to their tents, but kept the 300 who took the people's provisions and their trumpets. The camp of Midian was below him in the valley, and then talks about him spying on the Midianite camp and then taking the Midianite camp. So I mean, God's right in this
He
scenario.
pulled through. He pulled
was
through.
Like, hey, those ones that lap up. I did see a documentary on this one time. I'll say this. It was talking about military in the Old Testament. And it was saying that this was a prototype of special forces from back in the day.
Interesting.
And the reason being is that you wanted a special brand of person for this kind of mission.
People that got that dog in them.
Pretty much. That's what God was saying was they've got to be a little crazy.
A little crazy.
They've got to be there's got to be some screws loose for this mission.
That's who we want in God's army.
Yep.
That's those people.
What do you think the army of angels is? Do you think it's just people sitting around talking about theology? No, they're just up in heaven punching each other constantly for fun.
Getting stronger by the day.
Yeah.
That would make sense. I could see how this is some sort of explanation of like a special force or like a strong unit or whatever you want to call.
And I think so too, because it's a little bit like, hey, we're about to go on this crazy ass mission. I need someone who isn't used to the comforts of life. I need someone who's been on their own, and I need stray cats is what I need.
Yeah.
I need stray cats and I need stray dogs.
Well, and I wonder too if this is like also an evolution of like warfare of like, well, it's better to have 300 dogs, like people who are just absolutely batshit crazy going, versus sending 10,000 people who we're probably going to get slain 90% of them. But if we can send in, the what's that movie with all the old washed up actors, The Expendables?
Yeah.
This is The Expendables.
All of those expendable actors.
A bunch of 70-year-old former action stars.
Which also made sense because it's like, okay, like if we use all 10,000, maybe like 9,000 get killed. Just because they're not used to warfare or they're not used to, being on their own. Or let's say, let's even just say like only 1,000 get killed.
Yeah.
Still you're out 1,000. If you send in 300 and 300 get killed, you're only down 300.
But it's your 300 dogs.
There's them dogs.
It's the two-a-days. The ones hitting up the...
I was there 2 days in Sands down at Orange Beach in Mobile.
They all got the cut-off jerseys where you see like their full bellies,
Yep.
They got the eye grease on all over.
He's ninny, he's ninny, he's ninny, he's outie, he's ninny, he's ninny.
All right, innies against outies. Line up on 3. Bradley, get over there. You and Outie.
You and Outie.
John, I know what the hell you are. That's both. You got a weird belly button.
Honestly, that's a mistake by me.
I don't know. You're going to have to sit out until we figure out the whole belly button situation. You got that dog in you, but you got to figure out that belly button. You hear me? You can't be an innie and an outie at the same time. Either suck it up or suck it in.
We'll just wait to see. Wait to see which team has less players, and then you just go jump in that jamboree now.
That jamboree.
Cajun God is my favorite God.
Yes.
He tops Gilbert Gottfried at the moment.
This is great. Bayou God.
Bayou God.
Well, what are your final thoughts on Gideon?
I mean, I think the whole concept of this being kind of a litmus test for people who are desperate, who maybe have had to live a hard life, makes the most sense. Because in this climate and at this point in time, you're looking for people who've got skin in the game.
Yeah.
You're looking for folks who they need this. They need the Midianites out. They need this to work. If the situation of them getting on all fours and lapping water into their mouths shows you that they're thirsty and hadn't drank in days. It's like, all right, these are people that need. Yeah, they're going to be fighting. It reminds me, there's actually story with a similar litmus test by the Thebans. Is the sacred band or band of sacred whatever. They were 300 male lovers paired together, and they were a very effective army. And the idea behind it was you would fight for someone that you cared about.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Now, it was the Greek, so it was like an older and a younger. Take that as you will.
Oh, the Greeks, yeah.
The Greeks.
They had something going.
So
Yeah.
maybe not a great model, but the idea,
That's interesting, though.
yeah, in this early military idea is there of for your military, especially back in the day, you want people who needed to be in the military.
Right. Yeah.
They needed your war to succeed.
That is interesting, that people who have something to fight for or are willing to fight, that how to suss them out back. Because, they didn't have programmatic, tests in place. It's just all right, we're going to throw rocks, whoever can throw it the farthest. Yeah. Get over whoever laps it up like a dog. It's just... And I wouldn't say primitive, but they were trying to find signs of what makes someone a good warrior. Yeah. And I think in this case, they were probably thinking, hey, people who are drinking water like a dog, they tend to be those crazy people that we need in the fight. So they're going to eat someone's brain.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you think about war back then, it was very face to face.
Oh, yeah.
And you wanted someone who is an animal.
Yeah.
You want an absolute fucking animal.
Someone that has that
dog in it. You wanted somebody who was gonna claw someone's eyes out, and choke them out on the battlefield and ram their spear straight through those skulls.
Yikes! Yeah, it was brutal.
You wanted it because and that's part of what the documentary that I saw was making the point is they were just these are guys that are gonna have PTSD for the rest of their lives. And it was you wanted somebody who was going to jump whole hog into that for you.
Well, anytime I'm by a body of water, I'm going to kneel down and drink it with a straw, just in case someone's watching. I'm going to make sure.
Just so they don't think that you've got that dog in you.
Yeah, I don't have the dog in me. I don't think I could claw someone's eyes out.
This man right here, you got that dog in him.
I ain't got that dog in me, boy. Yeah, I'm more... The verses before 7 are interesting to me. Just the whole testing God.
We figured out it's because God talks like he's from... backwoods Louisiana. And
God just finished up a
Gideon couldn't fucking understand him.
If I could have any accent, I would absolutely love to have a Bayou Louisiana accent. I think it's so fun.
You think so?
And, yeah, I would love it. I would love it.
Have you ever seen the coach of LSU, the former coach of LSU football, Ed Orgeron?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That is the Bayou Cajun accent to a freaking T.
Absolutely, yes. The testing of God is just so strange to me. It's it's off limits, but then it happens all the time in the Bible. And I can never come to terms with how there's never a perfect explanation. Even the ESV study is well, it's technically a sin, but he really needed the confirmation. And I'm just well, we all need the confirmation.
Yeah, we all need it.
Don't we all? It seems like the Bible and these stories, it's all about having faith in God and trusting God. And he helps some people. He'll bend over backwards to help some people have faith. He will prove himself over and over and over again. I mean, you look at just Moses. The whole time, he's showing him miracles. He's talking to him. He's giving him, all these signs that he's there. So then it's naturally, as when you're a kid growing up, you think, well, surely I'll get something that will prove to me because everyone else says they got one. And then it never comes. And you have to think well, I must be doing something wrong. Maybe I don't have enough faith or I'm not doing the right test.
Yeah.
So it's just funny because the test that I would do, it seems so little compared to all right, we're going to hang up a fleece in a threshing floor and see if it's the floor underneath it's dry. Okay. like these random science experiments. So Gideon is a interesting little chapter in the book of Judges. So,
and then the tests that you were instructed to give were very specific because it was like, test God, ask him for revival.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not the test that we've seen in the Bible.
You can never have like a test that's like, all right, like shoot down a lightning bolt right into this spot here. But if you say, oh, like revive my school or give me peace or help this family feel at ease, well, you can't really measure those like you can other tests. You can't say, well, I feel more peaceful than yesterday. Like that's doesn't really how it works. But, and I think that's why, again, a hot take, but I think we're instructed not to test God because it's the same reason why televangelists don't go to hospitals and do healings there, because they know that it's going to be a bad time. They can do it on TV for people who are willing, but you've never seen you've never seen Benny Hinn walk into the children's hospital and go, gee, I healed 10,000 people last night at my world tour. Maybe I can go to St. Jude's and do the same thing today. Wouldn't
Absolutely
happen.
not.
Same reason why psychics don't go to the casino. It just testing God, if it backfires, looks really bad. So that's why they usually urge you don't test God, because it might not work.
That's why snake handlers are the funniest denomination to me.
They are. Absolutely are.
If you're a snake handler and you're listening, I'm laughing at you. Because it's like, there was a story a while back about this guy. He was a preacher, and they handled this snake like several times, and he finally bit the guy. And he had to get rushed. The whole church was against it because snake handling, surprise, surprise, is not a mainstream denomination.
Yeah.
They were against sending him to the hospital, but finally somebody was like, I think he needs to go.
His eyes are like pus out of his head.
Yeah, he's turning a little purple. And they send him to a hospital, and they get the venom extracted and everything. And they save his life. They're like, yeah, why did it happen? And he gave like a non-answer of like, yeah, sometimes the Lord works in mysterious ways. And
that snake had that dog in him.
That snake had that dog in him. Well, on that note, Scott, like, what kind of pop culture, what cultural phenomenon, how have you been enriching your life lately?
Jeez. Oh boy, I'm behind. I will say one thing I got excited about was the new season of I Think You Should Leave came out last week, and it's very funny. Very, very funny.
I quote the haunted house tour all the time.
My quick story with that is when we went to Savannah, we did like a ghost tour, and we went into a house just like that. And all I could think about the whole time was that sketch. And I so badly wanted to be like, not trying to ruin someone's day, not trying to make someone's job hard. I just
did any of these fuckers ever fly through the wall and blast a big load of cum?
Oh, it's so funny. So yes, you got to watch the new season. It's very good. So I'll keep it short. So what about you?
Today, actually, I started watching this Amazon Prime documentary called The Ride.
Oh.
It is about bull riders.
Ooh.
It's about professional bull riding.
Okay.
And for the first time last year, they made it like the NFL where they have bull riding teams. They did like a draft and everything.
Interesting.
And it is
teams.
It is wild. Two of my favorite characters so far is one's a coach who got paralyzed from the waist down when it was like 1997 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he and his wife were talking about it, and he was just like, so I know this is serious business, and I know these guys, they need to really take it seriously. And the other one was a dad of one of them who was just like, it's intense, and you end up getting like wrapped into it because it's like they follow 4 different teams. Kind of, they really follow like 4 different guys. So there's who they call the Tom Brady of bullfighting.
Oh, jeez.
His name is Jose, and they always call him Jose.
Gosh.
And he speaks Portuguese probably 80 to 90% of the documentary. And then there's 3 others. There's like this old guy There's this one dude who's just a little bit crazy, and there's this young guy out of Texas, and he was just like a social media personality, and then he was an undrafted free agent, and he gets paired with Jose, and gets mentored by him. But it's fascinating. The Ride on Netflix.
I was gonna say this is not on my bingo card for Evan.
Yeah.
You come with a different piece of media almost every week, and it's like ancient warfare, 1960s telemarketing, bull riding.
What can I say? I'm a Renaissance man.
You are. I love it.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at unblessedpod. You can also email us at unblessedpodcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you listening so very much. We try and have episodes every Tuesday. You can always email us your questions. We really like to hear from anybody if they've got any particular topic that we'd like to cover, be it, news or Bible, or we'll just open it up
Whatever
to
you
literally
got.
anything in general. It could be, hey, what kind of shoes do you wear?
General Q&A.
A general Q&A. We'll be happy to answer. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Without further ado, my name is Evan.
And I'm Scott.
And don't forget to close your Bible.